Boy meets girl, they fall in love, and they get married. An event so common throughout the world, yet every culture has a different take on it. This is a wedding in Xi'an, China. My journey as an observer of this event began very early in the morning. First order of the day was to assemble the groom's convoy. One of the groomsmen is handing out red banners to decorate the convoy. The red banners not only help to identify the groom's car and convoy, but also represents good luck and fortune. They are then joined by the rest of the groomsmen. Their job in this part is to decorate the groom's car with flowers, making it stand out from the rest of the convoy, given his car is different from the others. Then the groomsmen head over to the groom's house to pick him up. In the groom's house, they are tasked with preparing gifts which will be presented to the bride later. This guy is holding a very traditional Chinese gift meant for the in-laws. Wrapped inside are 4 items. Spare ribs, which symbolizes the weight of the bride when she was a newborn. Lotus roots, for hope that the bride is perfectly pure, just like the lotus roots, clean from muddy waters. Then there are cigarettes, which in Mandarin is called yan, which sounds similar to the word ying, which means blessed marriage. And finally, there's liquor, jiu, which can be taken for another word in Mandarin that translates to eternity, be it in happiness or in health. This is the groom, a blue-collar worker from the city. He is preparing himself to receive the blessing from his parents, before making his way to meeting his bride. An MC will guide and manage the entire procession throughout.
我身旁这位帅小伙是我们的男主角，祭天的新郎官。那么首先呢，请新郎给镜头那端的新娘打个招呼。媳妇儿，我来了。这束鲜花的学名叫做手捧花，代表着爱情、幸福和希望。也请妈妈亲手将鲜花交给孩子。
儿子，你一定要幸福。
理所当然，要请新郎官给爸妈鞠上3个躬，表达一下多年以来生育和养育之恩的感谢之情。1鞠躬，再鞠躬，3鞠躬。好的，我想问一下我们身后的所有迎亲朋友们，此时此刻大家准备好了吗？好了。如果说他们家的人太多的话，怎么办？抢！门关得太严怎么办？撞！又抢又撞，我们声势浩大，气势恢宏。新娘，你要做好充分的准备。现在呢，请新郎官发号施令，马上出发。兄弟们，我们走 ！Go go go！
Now it's time to head back to cars to make the drive to the countryside. A 2-hour drive separates the city boy from the country girl. Strangely enough, each car has only 1 occupant. I later learned this was to make space for transporting the bride's relatives from the countryside to the city for a procession later. Halfway through the journey, the convoy had to stop. Apparently the groomsmen forgot to put flowers on the rest of the groom's car. And finally, we are at the countryside, where everything is so serene and peaceful. Fresh air, clear skies. Coming from a big city like Singapore, I find myself wholeheartedly relishing this tranquility. The groom and the groomsmen made their way to the bride's house, where they encountered a locked gate. This is also common in Singapore weddings, where the groom and his groomsmen have to bribe their way into the house. But what is different is their tenacity to get into the bride's house. So this is the bride's house. The guys are met with friends and families of the bride, as well as her fellow villagers. Before anything proceeds further, the groom has to pay his respect to the bride's late father. Yet another locked door awaits them. The bedroom of the bride. Again, the groomsmen refuse to pay the bribe and instead rely on their tenacity like before. Finally, the bride gives in. This is the bride, the girl from the countryside. She is seated on the bed and refuses to get up unless the groom does a forfeit. In this case, he has to do push-ups. Outside, the groom's entourage are invited for noodle eating. It serves as a welcome of sorts. The noodle represents the sharing of the wishes and happiness to the couple. The noodle must also be long, to symbolize eternity. Now, minutes away from being husband and wife, the bride and the groom help each other prepare for the final approval. This begins with the tea ceremony, where a cup of tea is offered to bride's mother and stepfather. This is both a sign of respect and appeal for their blessings. With their customary 3 bows, the bride and the groom are officially married. Instead of feeding each other cake, in China, they feed each other noodles. There is a saying that it takes a village to raise a baby. Well, in Xi'an, it also seems that it takes a village to hold a wedding. Now, all that's left for the newlyweds is to travel back into the city to meet the groom's parents. This is to let them know that they have received all the necessary blessings. The newlyweds are accompanied by the bride's village entourage. We have another tea ceremony, but instead of approval, this is more towards a celebration. A celebration of the union between a boy and a girl and their families. Last and not least, husband and wife then step out of the house once more for their final part of their wedding. The bride and groom show their appreciation to their friends and families by holding a lavish lunch reception.
其实我们高中的时候都认识了，只不过当时没有在一起，然后就觉得其实缘分这个东西挺奇妙的，兜兜转转一圈，就是今天真的心里感慨万千，反正心里特别激动，觉得就是现在不是流行一句话吗？就是兜兜转转还是你，我觉得就是这种感觉吧。
啊，挺幸福的，能娶到这么好媳妇儿，反正啊，认识了5年了吧，5、6年了。 反正挺好的。
As the long day comes to an end, my experience in this occasion has been a tiring and tricky one. Hours of driving, hours of standing in the cold, 6 hours of constantly being reminded of the language barrier. And yet, it was definitely worthwhile to see the smiles on the faces of the bride, the groom, and their loved ones. Such a common event all over the world, and yet, so special in their own way.